my skin has never been as freshly rotten. Bathed in blood products from deaditesondeck.com has pampered my body until it is as fresh as the day they laid me in the grave. Head on over to Deadites on Deck today and get that fresh from the grave feeling.
Hi, I am Ozzy the Wonder Squirrel. Don't forget to watch Evil Dead Chick on Deadites on Deck on YouTube. Oh, and subscribe, man!
Watching movies, Evil Dead Chick, and again, funny, strange, hysterical, or just plain bad. This weekend just got amazing. It's a watch-along weekend. Horror, sci-fi, comedy, and more. We got it all this weekend. This weekend just got amazing. It's a watch-along weekend. Horror and sci-fi, comedy and more. We got it all this weekend.
Howdy, gang. Hey, the poet. And I know the Hello Evil Dead Chick, what's your favorite scary movie, is a play on what we're gonna be watching for tonight's watch along. But I will go ahead and answer that, and it's the Evil Dead all the way, every day. So I got my Great Value corn chips ready. I've got my Welch's grape energy drink ready. And here in a little bit, we are going to be watching Scream. And I borrowed Steve's set because I've only got the 4K of Scream and can't watch 4Ks back here as much as I'd like to. So I'm watching the Blu-ray from his set. Now, I tried and I tried and I tried to find a for free copy for you guys and gals to watch. Should you want to watch along and you don't own a copy. Unfortunately, I was not able to find one despite my best efforts. So hopefully those of you that want to watch along with me have your own copy of this. And it's not a requirement that you watch the movie along with me. If you want to just come in here and hang out and you know the movie enough that you want to just sit in here and discuss it, or you just want to sit in here and lurk and, see what everybody else is talking about, that is fine as well. I don't have, many prerequisites for, people to be in these watch alongs. You just got to behave and not harass and abuse other people in the chat, or if I happen to have somebody on here on the stream with me, that you don't harass and abuse them either, or me. And if you want to come on here, I just have two prerequisites. You have to be 18 or older to come on here, because I ain't gonna lie, sometimes when we get together, we use language and stuff that probably is not appropriate for those under 18. And also, you got to behave yourself, which means don't be taking your clothes off on camera or doing other nefarious things that you should not be doing. Oh, that's only 2 prerequisites. So if anybody comes in, you've seen this so many times, you probably know it backwards, forwards, upside down, sideways, whatever. So you probably don't even have to watch it, right, the poet? So we're going to get started here in just a few minutes. But if you are watching along, I am 15 seconds in on the Lionsgate Blu-ray set for Scream, and it's got the Dimension Films logo on there. So if you come in later and need a timestamp, I'll be glad to give you a timestamp if need be. You need to get the 4K. Yeah, I just got the 4K not very long ago, to Poet. Hence me borrowing Steve's Blu-ray set to be able to do this watch along. Because, you know, as many times as I've seen this movie, I know it pretty well. But still, when I'm doing these watch alongs, I like to have it, you know, at least playing in the background so that I can get a good gauge on where we're at in the movie. But again, that's not a requirement for anybody else for you to be in here. You can just come in here and hang out if you want to. And that's what that's what I always envision these watch-alongs to be, is just a place where you could come in and hang out and have fun, and you could watch the movie or not watch the movie. You can discuss the movie or not discuss the movie. You can just sit back and relax and listen to other people or see other people talk about the movie in the chat. But I did want to remind you that I should be having another Positive Renegade show. She does. You say funny things. Sid breaks major rules and lives. Yes, breaks major horror movie rules, and essentially still gets to be the final girl, including having sex. So, hey kids, I'm doing pretty good. Now, I will say I may have to get up more than normal for bathroom breaks because I think I may have a bladder infection. So, and not that y'all need to know that, but kids, what I'm thinking about it is Tom okay? Because I haven't seen him in a long time. Now that doesn't mean he hasn't been in here. He may have been in here and just not, you know, wanted to chat or felt up to chatting. But I just, you know, when I don't see people for a while, I always like to check up on them. Venomous, I haven't paused on the Dimension logo. And this is the set, the Lionsgate set that I've taken Scream out of. And yes, it is 15 seconds in on my copy. So, kids, you say I haven't seen him too much. I think he's been busy. I saw him once in another chat, but he hasn't been in mine either. Oh, okay, gotcha. Well, I just, you know, really just wanted to check and make sure he was okay. As long as he's okay, that's, you know, that's good enough for me. Somebody else I hadn't seen for a little bit, not as long as Tom, but you do the same. Yeah, I like to check up on my people. So somebody else I hadn't seen for a little bit is Stalin. And I hope he's okay too. Oh yes, the poet, you are right. This studio made a crap ton of money on this franchise. They most certainly did. But we should be having a positive renegade tomorrow night. Only the live stream will be at 10 p.m. Eastern time because Hope's supposed to be on there with me. We're going to be talking about substance abuse, and Hope will be working at 8 when I normally would have it. So it'll probably go back to the regularly scheduled time after that one. And you folks that want to check it out can still watch it on the replay. So, well, venomous, that might be, just differences in the releases that were put out. If you don't have this exact release that I have, and I think, honestly, I think the Dimension logo may be shown twice. Or I don't know. I may be wrong on that. Regular DVD. So it might be not exactly the same as this Blu-ray, but you're in the neighborhood. So you should be okay. Okay. So we'll go ahead. I think I originally may have seen it on VHS, but don't hold me to that, the poet. But like I said, I'm on the Dimension Films logo. If y'all just want to get it to the Dimension Films logo on your respective copies, and just pause it there, then when we get ready to do the countdown, you should be, relatively synced up. Kids, you say, I will be here watching with you until I got to get ready for my stream. That's cool. You say, I saw this film in the drive-in theater when it first came out when I was 5. Haha. I actually went to the first time I saw this, I actually went to the movies and saw it. I think me and my aunt, Sandy, who was my horror movie watching buddy for a long, long time, I actually went to see this. And we absolutely loved it. So I'll give everybody about a minute or two more, and then we'll go ahead and do the countdown. And then if anybody comes in later, we'll get them up to speed best we can. Hopefully, I'm going to be doing some tasking on Project Touchstone, and hopefully I can get done with said project before it gets late, and I want to prepare for Positive Renegade. I'm not sure why these tasks take me so much longer than what the people project that create them. I'm going to walk over here and check on Darcy. She wouldn't come in earlier. Darcy. Darcy. Does Drew still have her own show? I thought she did, the poet. I sure did think she did. Okay, folks, we're going to go ahead and do the countdown. And we'll go ahead and get started with the movie. And so here we go. 3, 2, 1. Press play. We are off and running And there's the Scream logo. And if you're watching this with the sound, you will be able to hear that scream as the title comes up. And there is, speaking of Drew, there is Miss Drew Barrymore. So what's the consensus, folks? Do you think Drew Barrymore can pull off the high schooler vibe here? For me, it doesn't really matter. I love Drew Barrymore, but the poet you say, I'm going to say it. Without her being the first victim, this would not have made as much. And you're probably right, because at this point in time, Drew Barrymore was star quality, right? Kids, you say, when I watched this at my friend's house, her daughter made me tell her what a cordless phone was. Look at those VHS right there. Now this will be creepy when he says, I want to know who I'm looking at. Look at all that open glass in that house, too. I don't remember ever cooking popcorn that way, the way she's cooking it, like the Jiffy Pop stuff. Oh, yeah, all the cast did definitely do great. And as many people have said, when this movie came out, horror really was dead in the water. And we've got not only Wes Craven, but Kevin Williamson to thank for, I know some people don't want to give Kevin Williamson credit, but if he hadn't written this thing, and if Wes Craven, hadn't said, I think you got something here, no telling where horror would have went at that point. Yeah. Open glass kits is perfect for stalkers. Kids, you say, we used to make our popcorn like that or on the fire. Now, I remember my parents taking a pan and putting popcorn kernels and oil in there, and doing it like this on the burner. But I don't ever remember them doing it exactly in that packaging. Of course, that was prior to microwave popcorn. The poet, you say it'd be years, and it probably be Saw. I give them credit. Look how big the cordless phones were too then. Oh, did she? I didn't ever hear that. The poet you said you accidentally called 911 in real life. Oh, and I just wanted to remind everybody again, in case you didn't hear it the last time I did a stream and talked about it. If you are putting things in the chat and I don't respond, it's not because I'm ignoring you, unless you're being obnoxious. It may be, something to do with YouTube. Kids, you say my phone called 911 yesterday during an automatic phone update. Woke up to the cops at my house. Oh no. I hope my phone never does that. They were really nice about, well, you know, it's probably happened to other people, I would imagine. Did you say, luckily, apparently I'm not the only one that happened to. Yeah, it's probably happened to other people. Venomous, she said this movie is still a banger. I think this is my first watch of 2026. Cool. Does anybody remember when they first put out the uncut version of this? I absolutely couldn't wait. Now, I think that the reveal of Drew, the character of Casey after she's dead, by her parents is like, it's it's frightening, and it's really, it's like, wow, they mean business here. I think I heard that, Venomous, that the true identities of Ghostface was hidden from the cast throughout filming. Now, here coming up, the drive down to the Mackenzies, there's a nod to Halloween. If you didn't catch that. And here's the reveal, and the way that speeds up, and you can actually feel him running towards her. And here we get introduced to Sydney, played by Nev Campbell. And here, of course, is a nod to A Nightmare on Elm Street. Folks, I'm going to take myself out of the stream temporarily. For those of you that are watching along, y'all continue to watch. I'm going to keep the movie running, and I will be back as soon as I can. All right, gang, I'm back. Now, I just want to ask you guys and gals in here. If you want to answer, that's fine. If you don't want to, that's fine too. But um, do you guys and gals feel like Scream should go on, or do you think it's past its prime now? Because me personally, I thought, some of the sequels have been decent. Others I've absolutely hated. Like, I did not like part 4 at all. Steve loves part 4, but I don't. Personally, I think this might have done better as a standalone film. But as the poet was saying earlier, this made a crap ton of money. And what happens when something makes a crap ton of money? They keep, wanting to make them. The poet you say, I don't know, just don't get as confusing as the Saw series. You're right, Venomous. You say they will keep making them as long as they make money. I don't have a problem with that. I haven't seen all of them. The OG is the best. Well, I will agree with that the OG is the best. I also agree they'll keep making them as long as they make money. I just, I remember really, really liking how smart and sassy, and I even like the self-referential part of it. Now, I wouldn't have wanted real murders to be going on, but my friends and I would sit around and talk about horror movies. Those of us that were those friends that were into horror movies. And there's Mr. Jamie Kennedy. And Jamie Kennedy was in my neck of the woods here pretty recently. Him and Jack Osborne um, witnessed an altercation in downtown Louisville. And don't forget, gang, we're going to have 2 more straight weeks of watch along weekends. So next weekend will be Pieces for Vomit Bag Classics watch along weekend. And the weekend after that will be my birthday bash weekend. And we will be watching Happy Birthday to Me. Then, as you say, you wonder what Jack Osborne is doing there, Waverly. No, actually, he was at the Louisville Horror Convention, which I don't think is going to be returning next year. So they must have not made enough money or lost money or whatever. But I think that's what Jack Osborne and James Kennedy were both at. I don't think Jack has ever been to Waverly. I could be wrong on that, but he has been to Kentucky and or Louisville several times. And there's Courtney Cox's character of Gail Weathers, who in this movie is the woman you love to hate. Then, as you say, you haven't been keeping up with Jack. I know he did some paranormal series. Yeah, he did. You say, I thought he might be there for Waverly. I plan on going myself soon. Yeah, I've been to Waverly twice. And my husband, Steve, he had lived in Louisville for many, many years before we got married. And he never went to Waverly until I dragged him to Waverly. And he's like, yeah, I've seen it. I don't need to go again. I was talking about our visit to Waverly, Steve.
Yeah. Spooky.
You didn't think it was spooky. You said you didn't ever need to go back there again.
You show off my.
No, I thought you might want to do that. Steve got this cool thing figure. Yeah, Steve's proud of his thing figure. I said it was pretty cool too. Okay, show of hands, folks. If after you had watched this, if somebody called you up sometime after the movie and said, called you by name, called you up, and said, what's your favorite scary movie? Would it scare the crap out of you, or you'd be like, just somebody being silly? And of course, Sydney thinks that it's Randy because Randy is the big horror film buff. Kid, she said, nah, I'd be like, pull up, I'll fight you. Or I would think it was one of my YouTube buddies. Yeah. If it happened nowadays, I would think, oh, it's somebody that watches me on YouTube or one of my, like you said, YouTube buddies. The poet, you say yes. Then, like Randy said in part 2, I say showgirls. I've seen Showgirls with Steve. That's a crazy movie. Hey, Stephen. I am doing fairly well today. How are you doing? Now, at this point, she knows it's not Randy because Randy would not go that far. Stephen, you said not bad, just sleep in the store. Gotcha. Kid, you say on second thought, I never answer my phone either, so it would probably go to voicemail. Um, she's no Sharon Stone to poet. Yeah. I think Matthew Lillard probably has kind of a one up on Skeet Ulrich in this movie with the lines. But, that might be just the luck of the draw there. I mean, Skeet Ulrich does get the psycho line. Like, dude, why are you always coming in her window? Oh, those old phones. Always like this scene coming up here too. There it is. David Arquette. That's priceless. Billy Loomis, of course, would be another nod to Halloween. And could be a nod to Psycho as well. See you coming through again. Darcy, you don't need to go out there.
Starts. Come on.
Gail is a major bitch in this first movie too. You know, in hindsight, that's a pretty stupid question for a cop to be asking. Um, what are you doing with a cellular phone, son? I mean, these are obviously more upper crust teenagers. So even in 1996, they would have had, you know, these cell phones. That is, I believe that's Joseph Whipp, by the way, playing the sheriff. And he was actually one of the cops on Nightmare on Elm Street. And the looks that Billy gives to Sid through the glass there, like, I would never trust that guy again. Have I noticed the black boots? Yeah, exactly, the poet. And you know, a lot of times things like that are stuff that it's like when you go back and you rewatch something, as opposed to watching it for the first time, you're like, how did I miss that? You know. I tell you, Gail wants to be seen. Look at that bright green outfit she's got. I always thought it was funny that maybe Tatum is doing this for the benefit of her mother. To be dressing in the pajamas she's got on there. And the stuffed bunny. Yeah, it definitely the poet. You say I said this before. This is a mystery as well. Exactly. I'm telling you though, David Arquette was perfect as Dewey. Sorry, folks. I was getting messages from um, these projects I'm working on. Sometimes it just pops up there when there's something in Slack that's important. And now back to the movie. I tell you though, I like Courtney Cox's look a lot better in this. I know it was 1996 than I do now. It's like I don't like that super dark hair that she's got, and it. I don't know. It looks like she's had some work done on her face. I don't know. But I guess that's none of my business, really. Kids, you say the remake of I Know What You Did Last Summer was comical to watch because the actors and actresses had so much work done that they couldn't show facial expressions. I couldn't tell if they were scared. And the thing about, it's none of my business what Courtney Cox or anybody else decides to do with their body or their face or whatever. But, it's just like I can't help but notice sometimes that people just seem to just overdo it eventually. And Courtney Cox was somebody that, I mean, I've seen her even way back on Family Ties. Um, I think she was uh, Alex's girlfriend at one point on the show. And I mean, she was attractive then, she was attractive on this. Now she just, her face and stuff just looks so hard. It looks false. Sometimes I think you should just let yourself age naturally. Exactly, kids. You say it's hard to watch movies now. How can you make movies without facial expressions? It's weird. Yeah. And the thought that somebody would have so much work done to their face that they can't even make facial expressions, that's bizarre. Now, I think I've talked about this before, and people may say, well, Dana, why are you bringing it up during this watch all? But I just always found it funny. One of those guys there, I think it's the guy that's had the scissors pointed at him, but there, now this guy's name might be Rig Kennedy, um, as well. But there was a guy that was in Slumber Party Massacre who was Mr. Content. He was the neighbor. And of course, I'm talking about the original Slumber Party Massacre. But for years, and I think they finally corrected it on IMDb, but that actor that played Mr. Content in Slumber Party Massacre was also credited with playing one of these high school kids that was just in the principal's office. I'm like, no, because that guy was probably around 40 or close to it in Slumber Party Massacre. There's no way. Yeah, the poet vanity is a powerful drug. I wonder if this the chick in the purple, not the cheerleader, but the other one. Um, I know Dead Pit talked about her having some kind of relationship with Tony Moran. And first of all, what? I don't know why, but I seen the footage of them together, and I don't know if it was like more of a friend relationship or a romantic relationship or what it was, but it was just very weird. I don't know if she's still hanging around him. And we got so many people dying nowadays, I don't even know if Tony Moran's still around. Yeah, but I have to agree with Kits about the frozen face syndrome. You know, I just, that's not something I would ever want to do. Hey, Gory Tiger. They actually mentioned Sharon Stone more than once on this movie. We're going to get a Wes Craven cameo here coming up. There it is. And he's called Fred, right? Sorry, folks. I promise I'm going to stick with you tonight. I think I can make it through one movie, but um, I may be seen stretching a little bit. But we have already, we got less than an hour left of the movie, which is just like it feels like 53 minutes has went by in no time. And there goes Mr. Henry. One, two, this cameo is coming for you. LOL. That's right, the poet. I always like these shots of the image in the eye. And there's another nod, Wes Carpenter flick, combining Wes Craven and John Carpenter's names. To me, that little shot there of Ghostface hiding out in the foliage was another kind of nod to Halloween. I always like this scene too. I like this movie really well, but there are certain scenes that just really stand out in this whole conversation between Randy and there's a nod to Halloween there. Yeah, this whole conversation in the video store with Randy and Stu. Um, and I like it that they throw in prom night as well. If they watch prom night, they save time. There was a Jamie Lee Curtis film, Mother's Boys. And I didn't talk about it earlier at the beginning of the film, but I meant to. That essentially Drew Barrymore's character is the Janet Leigh of this movie. Because when people watch Psycho for the first time, invariably a lot of people were going to think that she was going to live till the end, and then shock of all time, she gets killed off near the beginning of the film, or during the, I'd say, the first quarter of the film. But there are literally so many movie references in this. And just to mention The Town That Dreaded Sundown, which is a very, very good movie. If you haven't seen it, by the way. Why the cameraman devoted? Yeah. And so we are almost getting to the last quarter of the film, which, like I said, a good film will move very quickly. And this movie is an hour and 50 minutes long. So it's, and that's with credits and everything, but I'm just saying a well-made movie that keeps you going, doesn't really have any slow spots. And I don't think Scream does. I feel like that Scream is very, very well paced. Um, so you don't have time to get bored because they fill in the space between kills with stuff that us movie freaks enjoy. You know, we love saying, aha, you know, they put that in there, or there's that cameo, or at least I do. Yes, very clever film, Bemis. I agree. And it, like I said earlier, it came along at just the right time because horror was not in a very good place at that time. And here came something fresh and new, um, to kind of mix things up a little bit. So now we're getting a conversation about Jamie Lee Curtis and her being the Scream Queen and, Halloween Fog, Terror Train. Nominated for Terror Train. Dude, he has this big shade and he's like, she's with me. The poet, you say Jamie Lee is hardly in the fog. Yeah, we just talked about the fog the other night, and if you think about it, yeah, she isn't in it. Well, thank you, kids, for coming by and hanging out with us for a while. We will enjoy the rest of the movie, and you enjoy your stream. And Steven says, kids, they have to have facial expressions. You're right. Totally agree, folks. You too, kids. Oh, Ghost Ship. I talked about that on Insomnia Cure. This death coming up, I think, is pretty creative. Um, there may be the poet. I was thinking that this was the uncut version that I'm watching, the hour and 50-minute version, but there may be an even longer cut. I guess good use of beer there to defend yourself, although it doesn't really help her in the end. She ought to known she wasn't going to fit through the doggy door, especially with those great big boobs. Like, this must have not been a very long party. I guess maybe because of the curfew or something. There's even a nod to Clueless there. Time left. Well, I'm at an hour and 9 minutes, the poet. So I'd say about 41 minutes for me. Folks, I'm going to have to take another restroom break, so I will be right back. All right, folks, I am back once again. Them, as you say, saying just hit 1 hour and 11 minutes. They're wanting to know when they get to see Jamie Lee Curtis breast. And Randy, of course, tells him, not until trading places. I always love this because Randy just gets all out of sorts because people don't know the rules. And y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first time a horror movie ever really explicitly talked about the rules in order to survive a horror film. And as the poet said earlier, I believe it was the poet, Sydney breaks some of these big rules and still manages to survive this film. So they kind of, turn the rules on their ear a little bit. Because Sydney is getting ready to essentially lose her virginity to Billy here, which is breaking one of the rules, folks. There's Miss PJ Souls on the TV there. It's kind of creepy how when these guys, I mean, I know they've been drinking, but when they find out Principal Henry is dead, they all gotta go see him. All except Randy. Randy's gonna stay there with his beer and the movies. Right. The poet, you say Randy broke a rule but paid for it in part two. Yes. My cousin Jed was so upset when Randy paid for that in part two that he told me he cried. I think they shouldn't have killed Randy off either. Um, Now we are officially getting into last quarter um, of the film. Sorry, folks. My big boy Reg come back here. He wants to go out, ain't you, boy? Again, when you have 5 dogs, this, invariably happens no matter what I'm doing. So Sydney's starting to ask some questions now. Um, but, girl, you should have asked these questions before you just had sex with this guy. And Skeet Ulrich had the uncanny way of looking very menacing at certain times, even before the reveal, like here. Of course, this was another ploy to throw us off the Billy track. How many of y'all were thinking there were 2 killers the first time you watched it? Because I sure as heck didn't. And I've seen a lot of horror movies. That's another good reveal, the death of Tatum there. course, this is a part where they forget about, or Kenny, the cameraman, forgets about the delay. And gets killed for it. Oh, goodness. My allergies and stuff have been acting up too. Ooh. Poor Randy gets beat with a phone. That line. You know what? Kenny, I'm so sorry, but get off my fucking windshield. You know, one thing, since we're coming up on the Dewey reveal, um, and maybe David Arquette decided he was done with the Scream series, but I just didn't like the way Dewey was. You know, we had seen him basically come back from the dead over and over and over again, and then just is like, oops, sorry, you're done. Um, and again, it may have been David Arquette's choice. I'm done. I don't want to do any more Scream movies, so just go ahead and kill my character off. But it's just unceremoniously, we got to have him come back from the dead, basically, like I said, over and over again, and then all of a sudden, bam, he's gone. Um, oh, folks, I'm going to go out of here for just a second and make sure Reg is taken care of. I'll be right back. All right, folks, I am back. I should be able to stay with you for the remainder of the film. And we're down to the final 20 minutes of the film. Here's the psycho one. There was the Sharon Stone line there. This is when you know these two, if you haven't figured out that they're crazy already, but they're willing to stab each other to make it look like somebody tried to kill them, but they managed to live. And so these two idiots um, get too distracted by what they're doing. And again, they got too into their own stuff, and it's going to backfire on them. That line always makes me laugh. My mom and dad are going to be so mad at me. I think that's the least he's got to worry about right now. So Death by Television is fantastic here. So even Randy said, you know, he said, I probably should be dead. I never thought I'd be so happy to be a virgin. So, and Gail Weathers gets her moment of redemption here. And we see that Dewey has survived the night. So we're basically tying up the end of Scream from 1996. I will be staying with you guys through the credits for those of you that want to stay to the credits. Um, I always like these ones where they show little snippets from the movie and show the person's name and who they played and stuff like that. Um, and I also like this song at the end too. So I hope that you guys and gals that were able to join me tonight for self-referential horror watch along weekend. Um, and here we start the um, well, it doesn't show who they play, but it does show little snippets of scenes that they were in from the movie and shows their real name. Um, I've always liked that touch at the end of movies. Steve and I were rewatching Dazed and Confused yesterday, and it it does that too, basically. Well, thank you to Poet for saying this was fun. I had a lot of fun too. And I hope that many, if not all of you, are able to join me for the Pieces Watch Along weekend next Saturday, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And for those of you that can join me and Hope for the substance abuse episode of My Path to Becoming a Positive Renegade, we're going to give you guys and gals that are able to join us, or if you need to watch it on the replay, we're going to talk about substance abuse, and we're going to hopefully give some tips to help people, some resources to help people that may be experiencing issues with substance abuse. But yeah, I really enjoyed going back and watching this film again with you guys and gals. Hopefully, we'll have fun with some of the rest of these. You guys and gals have already started voting on John Carpenter Week. And last time I checked, The Thing was in the lead. But we have The Thing, Christine, and Prince of Darkness up on the polls. So if y'all want to make sure that, I think it's like July 25th or something like that. So you've got a while to vote on it. But if you want to have some say so in the movie that's chosen for that weekend, be sure to get on my channel and make sure you vote in the polls. And there are other polls up there as well that you can still vote on. Got a couple more minutes of the credits. I see about 3 of you still in here. But I want to go ahead and thank the Poet and Venomous and Kits, should she see this later, Stephen, for hanging out in the chat with me tonight and keeping me coming in the chat. Again, this has been a fun watch along. I like the conversation that was in the chat. I'm hoping that we can continue to have these nice conversations. Good night, Stephen. Thanks for coming by. And for those of you that maybe were in here watching but didn't feel comfortable getting in the chat, or maybe you were watching this watch along on a device where you weren't able to chat at the same time that you were watching, I thank you guys and gals as well. And for those of you that weren't able to stay for the duration or weren't able to join me as I was doing this live, but watch this on the replay, I appreciate you guys and gals as well. We're about to get this tied up. Like I always say, I like to stay at least until the end credits before I call it a night on here. And this first song, Whisper to a Scream, that wasn't the original artist singing it, but I do like that rendition of it. And then the song at the end here is I Don't Care. All right, gang. So we have officially reached the end of the end credits for Scream from 1996. Again, thank you guys and gals for joining me for another watch along weekend. I'm going to go ahead and tie this one up. Unless anybody has any questions or comments to make, I'm going to go ahead and tie this one up. But thank y'all again so much. You have made this one of the fun watch along weekends that's now on the books. And as always, I'm off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off up here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Saturday night, folks. And hopefully some of you, if not all of you, will be able to join me and Hope for my path to becoming a positive renegade tomorrow night at a different time than normal due to Hope's work schedule. It will be 10 p.m. Eastern time. So for those of you that are able to join us, we're going to be talking about substance abuse and dealing with substance abuse. And I'm going to get on out of here, but I'll see everybody next time.